People respect the money and influence and not the person. We live in a society where wealth often equates to respect. Yes, you've seen and heard it. People treat you differently at any point once they think you have money. They act as if you are someone special, not because of who you truly are, but because of what you have. Now this is the harsh reality. If people respect you only because of what you possess, just know that such respect is fake, shallow, and will disappear as soon as the money is gone. A person's worth should not be measured by the weight of his bank account, but by their character, how they treat other people even when no one is watching. Good morning, Nigerians. Good morning, peace-loving people of Plateau State. Glad to be welcoming you to the Tuesday edition of your number one dynamic socio-political breakfast tonic and conscience-speaking program on radio. It is Political Updates coming to you live on Silverbird, reading 93.7 FM here in the city of Jos. Today is the 24th day of March, the year 2026. My name is Pam Dunquist, and of course, the King of Boys, Ambassador Bello Lukman, is already seated to take us down our destination of 12 noon with political analysis. Bello, good morning, and still basking in the euphoria of Salah, and all things being equal, after this Sunday, the next Sunday, we'll be saying Happy Easter.
That's an interesting, fascinating, and captivating part of the way the world actually is structured. One day you're actually celebrating the Muslims' day, the other day you're celebrating the Christians' day, and that is exactly the joy of the nation. Diversity is what we also love, and that's the hallmark of our being, because there is actually no one color to everybody, there's no one religion to everybody, there's no one tongue, there's no one language, there's no one creed, there's no one tribe, and that's exactly why we should embrace diversity, because we are not a homogeneous nation. Good morning, Nigerians. Good morning, egalitarian passengers that listen to us out there with better bread, fresher. Good morning, Dexteros DJ, David Friday, and the two musketeers behind the scene. We have Timilayi, Andrew, and also we have Ugo, that we don't even know the second name, but we know that he is also called Fine Boy Journalist.
No pimples.
No pimples.
Alright, we sincerely want to apologize on behalf of the People's Prof, Comrade Luka Pampe Yakubu, who is unavoidably absent today due to some exigencies, but then we wish People's Prof all the best wherever he may be this morning. And you know that People's Prof is one man that has never failed in any way, so definitely we know that whatever has taken People's Prof out of town is definitely something important, and we know that the next time he'll be coming here, he's going to give us a very, very wonderful and well-packaged information and analysis of what has been happening across the length and breadth of places where he goes to. Just like any other person, you remember the last time Bello was a guest in Abuja, the police headquarters, and Bello did not just go there to prove himself that he's right or not, but then Bello also went to actually ascertain the difference between Abuja and Nasarawa State, because most times somebody will tell you we are the people of Abuja, but when you go there you discover that indeed they are not actually staying in Abuja, but because of the proximity of the settlement of their state and the other place, you feel as if you are in one state. And I remember it very well after the program when you mentioned it that day. Kazim Mishu said, Kai, why you
Although quiz, you know that some of us, once we actually find our place in a place, we're not just there for tourism, we're there for education, we're there to ensure that timeliness and instructiveness is what we also exude, so that the people out there can also benefit from our presence in that place. Whenever I find myself in Lagos, I'm one man that goes from one place to the other with my personal money, not for any reason, but for comparison, to be able to be sure that indeed, in terms of infrastructure, is it water, is it air, is it the airport, is it the land, is it the infrastructure, you actually do your comparison. Is it the population, is it the neatness of the town, is it about development? By the time you actually do your contradistinction, your analysis, your psychoanalysis, then you'll be able to arrive at a point. And that's exactly what research is all about. You observe, by the time you observe, you take note, after taking note, you do your comparison, after your comparison, then you run your conclusion, then you have your recommendation. That's exactly why some people say political science is not an art. It is a science.
Sure.
Because everything that scientists do, that's what you also do.
You analyze.
You observe, you analyze, data. You get data, you also analyze the data, you do a prognosis of the data, then you bring your conclusion, then you bring your recommendation from the data you've just analyzed.
With logic.
Exactly.
All right. Yesterday we said something. In the course of the program, we'll deliberately look at the antecedents of some of our leaders that will actually give them mandates in 2023, while some of them join along the line. We'll be very deliberate in the course of the program to look at some of the antecedents. We have the leaderships like Plateau South, Plateau Central, and Plateau North in the National Assembly, that's the Senate. We want to know if they have been actually performing or they have just been silent over there. We also have Basa Jos North, we have Jos East, Jos South, Rion Barkiladi, Mangu Bokos, Panshinkaje Kanam, Wase, Lantang North and South, Shendam, Nika, and Kwampan. All these are representing the interest of the people. And in the course of the program, we'll do a little analysis to see if at all they are actually there representing the people or they are just sitting there quietly, including the State House of Assembly. We have 24 members, including the principal officers. In the course of this program, we'll look at some of the antecedents and pedigree. But having said that, Bello, if you are ready, let's take the first story on the Punch newspaper. And of course, we predicted that once it's 2026, you might not feel the impact of governance, but rather what you see in the air is permutation and political calculations to see who becomes what in the next election. So this is completely, if you ask us on this program, this year might just be a total year for campaigning and also for permutations. First story has it, Hamzat Yayi Ali may emerge APC consensus governorship candidates. And of course, you know that in the southwest there are 3 states that will be conducting the normal election, while the other 3 are conducting what we can best describe as off-season elections. But then, Benlo, consensus or direct primaries, whichever you decide to go for, it has to be in total agreement. Total agreement, it has to be 100%. If one man, one candidate says that he is not in tune, he's not in alignment with that consensus, then definitely anything you do there, it becomes a nullity. So we are saying this morning that every political party, whether the party in power, whether the opposition, let's ensure that it is what every candidate aspirant agree that you decide at the end of the day. But if you decide to force people on other people or against other people's wishes, then definitely we might just end up having a case where you will finish everything. After all said and done, then the court might likely be the one to decide.
Interestingly, Pamela Quiz, there are so many people that have indicated their interest to contest for that particular seat in Alausa, Ikeja, Lagos. And one of them is Akilmi Ambodi, and I saw him over the weekend dancing to K1 song at one of their rallies. And I thought that indeed, because of the bickering that happened as a result of that permutation that edged him out of that particular calculus and calculation, he will actually be allowed to finish his one term that he actually had. And one of the best terms that you can ever have, one of the most eventual, one of the most historic terms that you can ever have, one of the most symbolic and iconic terms you can ever have was when Ambodi actually succeeded Fashola. Yeah. Even though they actually they were not at par as far as philosophy was concerned, but in terms of the infrastructural development, they were actually at par, because Ambode was able to raise the bar. He was able to continue from where Fashola actually stopped. Is it the Aja you want to talk about axis? Is it the Agege axis you want to talk about? Is it the Oshodi axis you want to talk about, where they built a kind of a monument in that place that you will actually say that can compete with any airport everywhere? Because he was the one that facilitated that particular park where international buses were actually coming. And when you see that infrastructure, you think that it's actually a West African project, but it was actually Ambodi that facilitated, that orchestrated, that started, and that completed that project. One would have thought that an Ambodi will actually be allowed to complete that particular tenure of his that was truncated. But Jabi Amila is one man that has also never hidden his desire to contest for the governorship in Lagos State. But by the time you look at his antecedent, the last time he contested an election in Surulere, he got 22,000 votes. That's a sitting speaker of the House of Representatives as at that time. So is that what he is going to also really use to come and become the governor of Lagos, that Fashola got 1.something million votes to emerge at the end of the day? Again, you have the likes of Obasa, the speaker, who is a man Friday of the president. He said that he had been supporting the president since he was in secondary school. That was when he was having his running battle. By this time last year, you remember vividly that he was actually running a battle with the entire House of Assembly because he was already impeached as at that time. Tunji Alausa is the Minister of Education. And that's one man, you know that in the north, you will always put the name of your village as part of your name.
Yeah.
The likes of Shagari, the likes of Shinkafi, the likes of Daura. All these people, they always inscribe the name of their town as part of their name. In the southwest, it is not common to have somebody called Timi Ogbomosho or you have Timi Ede, you know, but then you have Tunji Alausa.
Alausa is a place in
Alausa is a place in Lagos. So one would have thought that because of the fact that the man was so in love with his own place that he inscribed his own name and his surname as part of, like Tinubu for example, is the name of a place in Lagos. Tinubu Square.
I'm just doing that.
Yes. When you go to the Lagos Island, you see Tinubu Square there. Now, Tunji Alausa, the Minister of Education, has also indicated interest in contesting for the governorship in Lagos State. Again, the private secretary of the president, Akim Muri Okola, who was the youngest chief of a head of service ever that you can ever have at 37. He was the head of service in Lagos. And today is the private secretary of the president. Some people have said that indeed he is actually being groomed to go and take over from the man in Lagos right now.
Yeah, the governor of Lagos.
Lagos State. You know, the present governor is not as popular as other governors. He's not as popular as other governors. Before now, you don't even need a soothsayer. You don't need to even prick your conscience to remember the name Fashola till tomorrow. You don't need anybody to tell you about Amori.
Even though he spent one tenure.
Exactly, but Sanwo-Olu, to so many people, he reduced the bar of governance. And now that we are hearing that Obafemi Hamzat's deputy might be the next governor of Lagos, because even before the advent of the APC, the ACN don't conduct indirect primary. They don't go by delegates. Go and quote me anywhere. They have a consensus arrangement where the likes of the former governor of Osun State emerged. There was no single primary. It was a consensus. The man that today is him and the president are not even seeing themselves eye to eye. There was no way they had that indirect primary. The same thing about Fayemi is the first time. Once the oracle picks you as the successor, who are you? All these people are mentioned, for example, Obafemi Hamzat, Akim Muri Okola, Gbajabiamila, Ambode, Obasa, Tunji Alausa. If it is true that a lengthy meeting took place, and the president has settled for Obafemi Hamzat, Pablo Quiz, all of them will have no choice than to capitulate. They have to surrender their ambition. But then, how democratic is that? Because the people in Lagos must have their preference in terms of the philosophy, in terms of the doctrine, in terms of the manifesto, in terms of the blueprint of each of these candidates, not the president's preference. So at the end of the day, it is more of an oligarchy than democracy. Because if you had allowed a direct primary, the people who queue behind Obafemi Hamzat, those that are in support of Akim Muri Okola will queue behind him. Those that are in support of Gbajabiamila will queue behind him. Those that are in support of Ambodi will queue behind him. Those that are in support of Obasa will queue behind him. Those that are in support of Tunji Alausa will queue behind him. And this time around, there is no any kind of inducement. Because how many people can you bribe? In fact, when I knew that Ambodi's fate has been sealed, was when they organized a direct primary, and I discovered that all the people at that time wanted him out. Because you could see the frenzy, you could see the glamour, you could see the consensus, you could see the glitz. Definitely, he got the technocracy right, but he didn't get his politics right. Because those that are actually on the ground were the people he alienated in governance. And when it matters most, they were the ones that let him know. In fact, I saw somebody who was being interviewed. He's the chairman of one of the local government of the APC. He said, how will I support a governor that doesn't pick his course? And I said, that's the stock in trade of most governors. How many governors pick their course? I remember the governor of Akwa Ibom saying, am I working in the call center that I must be picking your course?
Who are you?
But during election time, you are working in the call center. But immediately you are winning the election, you start telling people a very arrogant disposition of your stance as far as this issue is concerned. Now let's go to Oyo State. We are told that Sharaf Ali senator is the one that the president prefer to actually succeed Makinde as far as the APC is concerned. But then you have Adelabu Clemes that has till March 30 to resign, because he said he wants to be the governor, and that's the only ambition he has as a former CBN deputy governor, and he says he has the capacity to govern that state. Many people have asked the question about his integrity as far as the power sector is concerned. Has he been able to write his name on the enable sign of time in that sector? Can he be trusted with governing the entire Oyo state? The people of Oyo should be able to decide. Right now, he might end up having what is called 2-0. Because in this instance, he might lose the ticket as the minister. He might lose the ticket as the governorship candidate, because once the oracle, I repeat, once the oracle picks his own choice, all of you either support or probably you leave. And this time around, where the Electoral Act is very strict about a 21-day period for every party to submit the names of their candidate, to submit the names of their members to INEC before their primary election, how do you jump from the APC to another political party within that particular period, when between April and May this year, not next year, not July, not August, April and May, we are in March, Pablo Quiz. You must probably have been a member of that political party for a number of times before you can actually have the local standing to even contest election. So indeed, they have closed the door for those that would want to be jumping from one party to the other because of expediency. So in this particular case, let's see who will actually obey the oracle. In Ogun State, I told you that Yayi was told to leave Lagos West to go and contest in Ogun West. This is a man that started as a councillor. Under which school of politics? Asiwaju Bola Tinubu School of Politics. From there, he became a House of Assembly member in Lagos. From there, he graduated to a House of Rep member in Lagos. From there, Olamide Konyayi, the Senate Committee Chairman on Finance, again became a senator, Lagos West. And he was told to go and contest in Ogun West. And he called his sub-request West to West. And he won that election. And now so many people have said that he is the preferred choice of the president for the position of governorship of Ogun State. But that is in contrast with the governor of the state that wants Senator Shoaibu to succeed him. That is in contrast with the man that has a long cap, that is also a senator in that particular place, that is also a former governor in that particular state, who actually wants a different person to also succeed this particular governor in that instance. But I can assure you that if that's what the oracle wants, and you all know the oracle is the president, once he says this is what I want, is either you pander to his whim and caprice, or you probably capitulate, or you leave the political party, because that's exactly how it works as far as this issue is concerned. And this is my worry. When people were rushing to the political party at the center, because we are stifling choices. You are being a big fish in a small pond.
Yeah.
But right now you are a small fish in a big pond.
Nobody recognizes you.
So at the end of the day, when you don't get that party ticket, what next for you politically? Are you going into what is called political Siberia? Are you going into political oblivion? There are people that contested election. There's one Zuntu, I'll never forget, that contested election with McCarthy in 1999. Zuntu is still alive today. Zuntu was so popular during that time that even his campaign, the song, some of us could sing it even when we don't stay in Kaduna. But because they sponsored that particular jingle on TV, on NTA, if you see how fantastic the song was. But where is Zuntu today? Is Zuntu still alive? Is he still contesting politically in elections?
Bello, you see, there are so many things that people don't actually get right when it comes to politics. And whether we like it or not, your popularity is determined by the people. In all of this equation, what is the place of the people and what is the position of the people?
Big question.
Because
big question.
It's not enough.
Because democracy is defined as government of the people, by the people, for the people.
Bello, it is very easy for you, the program you anchor every Thursday on this platform, to say, okay, because you are the one anchoring the program, you decide who calls and who doesn't call. Where's the democracy there? If at all the sponsors of the program decide that, okay, Bello, we are going to give out something like an enticer to our contributors, but then we want you to select 5 winners for us. Then you call Pam Dunquist, you call Luka Pampe, you call Ugo, you call Timmy, and you call David Friday. Where's the democracy there?
That's it.
Because will the people even trust you going forward that actually when something is given to Bello to actually give it democratically, will he be able to give that? We have people that have told the world that they were the ones that fought the military against injustice and also silencing the voice of the people. Today we are seeing more than that. Because during the military era, we could even see people who actually speak and stand face to face, or rather speak power, truth rather to power during the military era. But as you speak right now, Bello, you dare not speak anything against the man who decides what happens here or what does not happen here. And that's why a lot of people today will tell you that to them, they feel that we only have one arm of government. Even by constitution, we are supposed to have 3 arms of government: the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. But some people will tell you that we only have one arm of government that controls every other arm of the government. Bello, I find it difficult to comprehend and to also explain to an average Nigerian going forward that if today elections are conducted and you have an issue that the process was not okay for you, and you are taking your case to a tribunal, and the tribunal pass their judgment or their verdict, then you now say you are going to the Court of Appeal, and we see where already a strong party member who is an appointee of the president has already, shall I say, proposed the building of 40 bungalows for federal judges and high court judges. What is the guarantee that if I take my case there, I'm going to get a scintilla of justice? But that's not even the issue, Bello. Whether we like it or not, democracy is a system of government built on core principles ensuring popular sovereignty, equality, and accountability. Key tenets include citizen participation, free and fair election, human rights protection, the rule of law, and transparent governance, allowing power to be held by the people rather than an individual or elite group.
Pam Quiz, ask yourself, are we really practicing the right democracy in this part of the world? And I love what you said about the fact that people told us that they fought for democracy. But then are they trying to sustain the democratic tempo as we speak right now? There's difference between what is called democratic legitimacy and political dominance. People might also misconstrue the two. In fact, the line that is actually between the two is very thin. It's very, very thin to the extent that somebody can actually hide under political dominance for democratic legitimacy. Democratic legitimacy is when you win election. Shell lacking, you were able to votoporize in a voto form. You beat the people because the people that are voting are the ones that gave you that legitimacy. But political dominance is when you are actually having a descent into a one-party state without an election, like we already seen that is already happening right now. And the greatest danger confronting the Nigerian democracy today is not bad governance. It is not economic distress. It is not the narrowing of even the insecurity. It is the narrowing of the political space. Already we are having our problems. One of them is economic distress. Another one is institutional decay. Another one is judicial compromise. We are also having elite impunity. We are having growing public alienation. But one party state is one development that is being celebrated in some quarters as political consolidation and stability. But then it is not. Because whether we like it or not, it is actually a democratic legitimacy in the reverse mood. Because when you are not actually winning election, political dominance is what we are having. And that is exactly when there is no competition. When there is actually institutional strength in the reverse mood, that is what you are going to be having. And this is a warning of institutional disorder. Because multi-party system is part of the political engineering that is required for the survival and development of the Nigerian Republic as a single political community. Our history is about interaction. Our history is about interdependence. Our history is about political contact. Our history is about trade across ethnic and religious lines. Go to Terminus. People that claim on social media that they hate themselves. Go and see the type of interaction in billions, in millions. If you claim that you hate yourself the way you are claiming on the social media, especially the way you are training your children at home, why are you receiving the millions from the opposite religion? Why are you receiving that millions that is coming into your life from the opposite tribe? Our history is also about migration. Our history is about shared historical processes. As such, nation building in such a setting is never a finished product. And the drift towards a one-party state should worry every student of the Nigerian Federation. Nigeria is not a homogeneous nation. Do you know a homogeneous nation? A nation where they share one language.
Yeah, everything is just single.
Plateau alone, how many tribes do we have? Can one tribe come out in Plateau to say that we are the most dominant? If you cannot speak Biron, if you cannot speak Angas, then you cannot actually do your business in the market. Is it possible? Even Plateau, as a case study. So even Plateau cannot claim to be homogeneous. Talk more of a country called Nigeria, and then we are talking about a one-party state for a plural state. Like Nigeria, are we a singular state? Even Somalia, that is actually homogeneous. They have one language, they have one religion, but there is still a scintilla of democratic setting in what they are actually practicing. Do you know the size of Nigeria? For somebody to even be contemplating a one-party state in a country like Nigeria, this is actually going to be very, very suicidal politically. Is this a plural? Is it a coherence? Is it an elite consensus that we are actually having? This particular kind of country depends on what? Dialogue. It depends on bargaining. It depends on inclusion. It depends on circulation of their elites. As such, strong multi-party is therefore an internal mechanism through which a diverse federation manages its tensions and reproduces its legitimacy. And that is going back to the issue of the parties. If the likes of Adelabu, for example, had remained in a small party, today he would have been a lot of manner in that party. But if the people in the party he belongs to today say, despite the fact that he's a minister, he is not qualified to be the governor of Oyo State, that might be the end of his political dream. And that is exactly the problem of most of the people that are rushing to the center. Because, for example, in the Plateau North senatorial seat, out of all the gladiators, none of them is in a small party.
At all.
All the gladiators are in the big party.
And they are very optimistic.
And there's only one. There is no deputy senator. No. There is no secretary to the Senate. There is no assistant senator.
No. There is no commissioner to the senator.
There is no commissioner to the senator. There is no minister to the senator. So between, for example, Professor Chris Kwaja, Senator Watkon, the second Watkon, Senator Ivy Gyan,
yes,
our friend, Barrister Ganzi, Atu, Daladi Atu,
yes,
and so many others
that we cannot even remember. There's one Amanchi too.
Exactly, is there. There are so many others. Between them, one person must get the ticket. So what happened to the remaining? Are they going to support the man that emerged? Or like the average Nigerian politician does, would they want to pull down the system because they did not win the election? Are they going to go through a consensus? Are they going to go into a direct primary? What mode are they going to choose to ensure that at least they don't also bring the entire roof on their own heads simply because of ambition? By the time you go to the Just Not Basa, you have the likes of Oga Perfect, you have the likes of Sadiq Plaza, you have the likes of Asama, you have the likes of other people that are even contesting.
In fact,
that right now
within Just
there is possibly there that is also contesting that same election.
Within Just Not Basa, I think those as
you have done London.
They are close to 15, if not 20.
So how do you actually satisfy the ego of these people? You even have Babangida, Malco, who has also come out to say, despite the fact that the last time he supported the London, he wants to also come, now the Godfather wants to also throw his hat into the ring. So at the end of the day, how do you ensure you manage the ego of all these people? And politicians are not migrating to the ruling party because they have discovered a superior governing philosophy. They are moving because the incentives of the Nigerian state is arranged in such a way that remaining outside the ruling formation is actually severe, and it might cost you a political calculus that you might also really be able to call detrimental. Definitely, there might be exclusion from federal patronage network. There might also be political irrelevance if you are not in the main party. And that's the reason why most of them are decamping. Defection then becomes an act of survival and not that of conviction. And when opposition is absorbed rather than defeated in an open competition, institutional independence is weakened. Complacency is set in. Impunity is encouraged. This is exactly what we are having. Can we have a situation? Okay, look at the vice president. When the vice president was a governor, he was in the opposition. Didn't you see a robust solution that he was giving when he was talking to the then president, Goodluck Jonathan,
Sure.
today that he is in the ruling party, hasn't he been subsumed by the ideology of the party to the extent that even when he knows the solution, can he speak against his principal?
Bello, in every political equation, especially when you have people that are too loyal to a fault to the man at the center or to their party, they see no evil, they hear no evil, and they speak no evil.
Exactly.
Everything, silence is the best way to eat food at the table. Bello, I want to ask this question. We were at the Thanksgiving of our friend, our brother, and our leader, that's Honorable Danjuma Azi, at Church of Annunciation. And I gave it to the priest. He said something. The theme of his sermon was attitude for gratitude. And attitude is what defines a man's character. And gratitude is the display of appreciation whenever a favor is rendered to you. Now, Bello, so many people were there at that Thanksgiving. The likes of Kefiano, the chairman of Just Not, from Dario God's in Banga, and other Adaladi Atu was there too, and so many other people. Now, Bello, to tell you that indeed the role of the people is very, very vital in everything we do as far as democracy is concerned. When people were introduced, they get applause and even cheering based on the number of supporters they have within that vicinity. Bello, when Fom Gwatson was introduced, he came up and people actually clapped for him very well. When Daladi Atu was introduced, they also clapped for him very well. When the chairman of Just Not was introduced, that's when the Reverend Father held him and said, "You are my neighbor, but we have never met. So today I have caught you red-handed," but that's just on a lighter note. Bello, when Kefiano was introduced, the women there, it's like the whole church wanted to fly up. Why? Because they feel that this man is a man that they believe in. So imagine a situation whereby somebody somewhere just sit and say, "No, we want to pick this person to represent the interest of the people." You think those that cheered him at that Thanksgiving will be very happy that their own person, if they allow them to go and choose based on their belief, definitely it is not going to be an imposition, but rather what they actually want, and people will always choose what they want. Let's pay some bills. We'll be right back. This is Political Update. Stay here. All right, welcome from the break. Still Political Update going on live on Silverbird within 93.7 FM here in the city of Jos. Today is the 24th day of March, the year 2026. Bello, now let's come back to the defectors, those that defected, and they went there with prospects. A lot of them went there with prospects. You mentioned the likes of Senator Aidiga. You mentioned the likes of Senator Simon Mwakongfwet. You mentioned the likes of Barrister Jangzi, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. You mentioned the likes of Professor Chris Kwaja. You mentioned the likes of Ambassador Chris Giwa. We have the likes of Honorable Eli Bako. We have the likes of Professor Aladi Atu. We also have the likes of Dr. Joseph Magaji as the MNI and so many others. Now, Bello, out of all this, whether we like it or not, each of them have good qualities to actually go and represent in the hallowed chamber. But if tomorrow, because you raised a concern when this issue of either direct primary or consensus should be the only option, and you said this could just be food for some elites at the higher table. Why? Because if some people who claim to be stakeholders sit in one room and tell the world that we have decided on behalf of the entire people, where did they hold that meeting to decide that indeed this is what the people want? For example, Plateau North, we have Basa, Jos North, Jos East, Jos South, Riom, Barkeladi. So, can we say that indeed there was a town hall meeting with critical stakeholders? And who are these critical stakeholders? We have religious leaders, we have traditional rulers, we have youth leaders, we have community leaders, we have cultural organizations, and we have business owners. Can we say that we actually sat with them and we now ask them, based on this, and this, these are the antecedents and pedigree of these people. Now we want you to choose for us, so that by the time we go to that meeting, we are going to present to the entire world that we have arrived at a consensus, and this is the person, and even every other aspirant has accepted and agreed. But we are saying that we don't want anything that's going to actually infringe on the process of our democratic movement or calendar, as the case may be. Because once there's one infringement below, definitely it's going to destabilize a lot of things. Little wonder today we have states and even constituencies that are conducting off-season election, not like the normal cycle calendar of elections in Nigeria. Once we finish this election, you might hear that by the end of middle of 2027 or 2028, there's going to be another election because of issues where rights were somehow infringed upon, or the actual winner was not the one that INEC eventually announced.
Somebody has said that consensus, as far as Nigerian context is concerned, is an indirect primary in a different form.
Okay.
Because like it or leave it, people will also be induced, especially the hierarchy of the party, because they are the ones that will actually come out to say, indeed, we've all agreed, we put heads together, and every candidate have also agreed that this is the person we are all supporting as far as this issue is concerned. I assure you that all the other political parties will go for consensus because they cannot afford direct primaries. How many of these political parties, is it Labour, is it ADC, is it AA, is it Accord Party, that can afford to mobilize every member to come out to vote in a direct primary? How many of them even have also ensured they consolidated on their voter register to ensure that at least the names of their register, the name of their members is actually submitted to INEC, because that is part of the local standing for this particular election. And that's why most of them are complaining. The time they're supposed to consolidate on this, they were also joining the civil society organization in demanding for electronic transmission of results. They were supposed to go inside internally to go and ensure that at least they mobilize their members, they get the registers of their members. There are some parties, I can assure you, Pablo Quiz, that their whole members in the entire Plateau State are not up to 5,000 as we speak.
Sure.
Now, how can you convince, for example, the people that you are ready to contest for gubernatorial election when 540,000 was what Caleb Mufwang used to win election the last time? And in your own party, you don't even have up to 5,000 members, because this time around, you must submit the name and link the name to the name, so that the fictitious and duplicity we used to see in the past, where people just sit down and start calling Pam Dunquist, Pam Sam Clem, Pam Ugo Emmanuel. They'll just list the names fictitiously because they want to appear to look like a party that has a ballooned and bloated member. But this time around, where is the name of Pam Dunquist? Where is the name of Pam Kim? But we want to see, so that we will know that it is actually not a ghost that you are submitting to us. So at the end of the day, that ballooned and overbloated names that we see might not exist this time around, except for the Nigerian factor, where people always have a way of beating technology. Don't forget that people beat the card reader. Sure. When the card reader became an encumbrance, when the RF became a problem, didn't we see where they say no, we are not transmitting the result at real time? When Beavers was a problem, didn't you see where people will say the Beavers is not working? We have an incident form. Let's actually use the incident form. So let's ensure diligence in everything we are doing as far as this issue is concerned. Out of every candidate, out of every election, there must be one winner. And I think that most of these people should reduce their expectation, especially their supporters, because everybody's supporter is optimistic. So who will now win? Like the other day I saw a cartoon. This side is playing a match, the other side is playing a match. May God make me win. The other side said, may God make me win. So one guy that was passing said, so who will God now answer among the two of you, because you are calling the same person? So at the end of the day, there must be one winner,
whether we like it or not. Bello, quickly before we pay some bills, I just want to refresh the minds of our listener out there that during the time of President Muhammadu Buhari, may God rest his soul, people will tell you that of all those that bought tickets to contest for the primaries of the APC, they will tell you that the president said if he announced the person that was succeeding, they will kill him. And it is me. This one will say it is me. This one,
Emeka and Wajuba. Do you still remember the name?
Yes, now that I'm remembering education then.
Do you know that the man went and wasted his 100 million? And in an interview with a national daily, he said that person the president was referring to
was him. Okay.
And he wasted the money. In fact, he was one of those that took Asiwaju to court at the end of the election because he thought that he was entitled to that particular seat. Can an Emeka Wajuba win election in front of his house?
Bello, the question we're going to ask our friends and brothers and our elders out there that are actually aspiring for any position and they actually defected to the party at the center. What promise was made to you? Because in every political equation, we have those that are real contenders and we have those that are core and perpetual pretenders. They want just to be there so that people will know that they participated. Whenever the food is ready, they will also call them and say, okay, to compensate you because you even attempted to actually participate in the primaries, even though you didn't come number 5, you didn't come number 10, you didn't come number 20, but then let's just compensate.
There is an unpopular person that is also contesting for Justin Basa. And when I asked his handlers, this person is not even among the contenders. He is a crass pretender. They say no. He knows that he will not win. But he's expecting that after said and done, he might be compensated. In fact, he will be compensated with an appointment.
Okay, thank God. You just confirmed that. Let's pay some bills. When we return, the program will continue. This is Political Update. Stay here. Alright, welcome from the break. Still Political Update going on live on Silverbird Rhythm 93.7 FM here in the city of Jos. Today is the 24th day of March, the year 2026. And of course, we're still basking in the euphoria of the Ramadan celebration. And also, this Sunday is going to be Palm Sunday, which is a Sunday before the Easter celebration. And we keep asking the question, how was your life before the Ramadan fast and after the Ramadan fast? How would your life be how was your life before the Lenten season? How has your life been during the Lenten season? And how would your life be after the Lenten season? Would you be a better person after the Lenten season? Are you a better person after the Ramadan fasting, or you have become worse? If you have become worse, please don't stand somewhere and tell yourself that you are a Muslim. Just say you are a pretender. If you are a Christian, as you claim to be, and after the Lenten season and your life become worse, please, when they are counting Christians, don't raise your hands because you are just a pretender.
The fasting days are meant for sacrifice. The fasting days are meant for abstinence. The fasting days are meant for charity. The fasting days are meant for even generosity. It are meant for sermonization. They are meant for spiritual life and everything that God actually ordained. And the nights are meant for reflection.
Sure.
That's not enough for us to plan ahead for the next year to ensure that some of the qualities that we've been able to imbibe and inculcate in ourselves during this particular fasting will definitely continue after Ramadan. Because I saw Ashake, for example, giving alms to people that were actually downtrodden in Mecca when he went there. If Ashake returns back to Nigeria, is he going to continue that because God has already blessed him with enough resources? Or he will only leave that particular benevolence and generosity in Mecca and just continue probably with their high lifestyle that they are already known for in this part of the world?
Alright, Bello, news filtering in indicates that El Rufai has arrived at Kaduna Court under heavy security and journalists are barred. Well, we'll continue to monitor development, whatever it is. We have said it severally, I will continue to say it without looking at anybody's face. If the law is applied to Mr. A, it should also be applied to Mr. B. If they say there is no snoring when sleeping, and Mr. A snores in such a way that he wakes up his neighbors, then Mr. B also snores and wakes up an entire community. Then we now see Mr. A that woke his neighbor because of his snoring is always a guest in the court, while the one that actually woke up an entire community because of snoring is nowhere invited. Then we'll begin to feel that it is more like witch hunt. We are not standing on the side of corruption. We are not standing on the side of illegality. We are not standing on the side of people who actually took what constitutionally belonged to the people, because the wealth of every local government, the wealth of every ward, every local government, every state, and every nation belong to the entire people. But the people, out of trust, out of belief, out of confidence, out of conviction, they said, you go and represent us. If at the end of the day, you turn out to mismanage the funds, or rather acquire those funds to yourself and your cronies, then definitely you should go and face the full wrath of the law. But the law should be seen applied equally to everybody. If El-Rufai is accused of some billions, can we also ask what is the fate of those that were accused of over ₦1 trillion? Where are they today? Have they been detained in any prison that we know under this administration to say that indeed we are showing that everybody is equal before the law, or we are saying that once you are with us in the other room, then your sins are forgiven, but once you are criticizing us from outside the room, then definitely we come after you?
And of course, we should also ask ourselves what's the philosophy of our security agents in this part of the world. Is it arrest first, investigate later? Or investigate first, then arrest, then prosecute, then convict? Because what we are seeing, especially in this El-Rufai case, is arrest first, investigate later. Because the ICPC have gone to a magistrate court to collect a detention order, and what is their reason? They said they want to continue their investigation. Are you saying you've not investigated before you actually went around to arrest the man? And this is not about El-Rufai. It is about the rule of law. This is not to say El-Rufai himself is innocent. That is it. Because he has also displayed his own political overreach in the past. But then that does not also mean that he should also be made to face the wrath of a naked law. We are a country with a rule of law. It's either you release him or charge him to court. And we're happy that at least they've also heed to our advice on this program. Charge him to court, let the court decide. All relevant security agencies investigating any Nigerian, whether highly placed or lower status, should be able to do their homework. Not for them to arrest first. He was arrested on the first day of fasting. We have finished fasting. You've not even concluded your investigation.
We have even finished Salah.
We have finished Salah. So arrest should come after thorough investigation process that will result in sufficient evidence. We must bite the bullet as far as the rule of law is concerned. Let's ensure that at least it is El-Rufai today. It can be anybody tomorrow, and that is our own stance. You might not like El-Rufai's face, but the fact that he is also binded by the Constitution, the EFCC is binded by the Constitution, the ICPC is binded by the Constitution, means that we must also go and do things that are in tandem with the Constitution. We saw what happened yesterday when the EFCC went to meet Malami in one of his properties, and he asked them for a court order.
Yeah.
Because the EFCC is a prosecuting agency. It is not a judicial agency.
Sure.
So he asked the right question. Where is the order that says that you should come and put an X on my property?
To seal it.
And the EFCC man was filibustering. You saw him stammering. Because he knows that there is no order in anywhere in his sight. And that is my worry. I am not a fan of Malami. Everybody knows on this platform. But should that be the reason to throw him under the bus? Because probably he cannot explain how he actually got these properties? No. We must go to court because that's why the court is there. Get the court order, seal the property. In fact, let him come and explain to Nigerians where he got money to be able to buy these humongous properties from the FCT in Gusape to Maitama and other choice areas of even his own hometown in Kebbi. But then everything must follow the rule of law.
Can't agree less with you.
Because it can be palmed tomorrow. They can just... Was I not invited to the FCT?
Sure.
What if I was thrown under the bus under a very thorny and controversial circumstance? So that's why we are saying that we are not a fan of El-Rufai. We are not a fan of Malami. But everything that we've done must be in tandem with the rule of law. And again, if those people were to be in the APC, would they still be facing this particular fate? Fayose is one example. I told evidence that Dasuki gave out money to Fayose for the prosecution of his election in 2014. And the people in the airport
that were supposed to
confirmed that money, cash, physical, was able to fill an aircraft to the extent that one of the escorts could not get a space in that aircraft. He had to board a private jet or Panikuru. At the end of the day, how it happened, we don't know. But now Fayose was able to eat amala and begiri in one of his building sites, and he said, I'm here to celebrate my freedom with you people on this site. How it was able to happen We don't know if Fauci wearing supporting the ruling party would he have gotten that favorable judgment. Okowa too is one man we are told that over $1 trillion was what he actually stole in Delta State when he was the governor in that state. But he has joined the ruling APC.
And nobody's talking about EFCC does not know
about the case again. The primacy of the case, the efficiency of the case, the efficacy of the case, I don't know.
Well, Bello, as we remembered very well, somebody actually called us during a certain radio program. And he said that because we're talking about security. And he said there's a certain police officer, a retired police officer, that he was stopped at the checkpoint by other police officers. And he introduced himself as a retired police officer, and they said they don't know about that one. As far as they are concerned, he's retired and they don't know anything like that. And we said people should be very careful whenever you find yourself in position of power. Because the day you will leave that position, if you did the right thing, below, people that come after you will learn the right thing.
That man is a former commissioner for transport.
Okay.
Yes.
So now, imagine...
He stays in feeling super with us there.
So imagine a situation where you never did well and you were ruling and leading with impunity. Of course, those that are coming after you will do worse than that. So we are always saying that whether we like it or not, we must apply caution. And as we said, we are not fans of El-Rufai, we are not fans of Malami, we are not fans of any person that is charged with suspected corrupt cases. If the person actually is found guilty, let the law prove it. But if not, let's not see what appears to be a witch hunt.
Yes.
Then till tomorrow, we've not had government Tompolo coming out to debunk that video. But we saw an EFCC chairman who turned out to be a spokesperson, or appeared to be a spokesperson of Tompolo.
Remember, I said I want to see who can have the effort.
None of them.
Potential
none of them
to arrest government Tompolo.
To even go there and say that we come
or
to
even
you.
Invite him. I actually did the EFCC here, and they actually packed that to my women caprice because they had to turn into motivational speakers at the end of the day.
And how many times have they gone to actually tell Okoya, Chief Okoya, that his children are under arrest for mutilating the naira?
The way you call Okoya, people will think you are talking about Okowa.
No, not Okowa.
Razak Akani Okoya.
I don't know that.
I know that so many people now understand who we are talking about.
Okoya, the man that has his own town. The one that owns a town. Now, how many times have we seen the AFCC go after his children, whose video went round and was viral across the length and breadth of the world, spraying the naira? Instead of these children to be arrested, we saw where the policeman, who was actually assigned as their escort, being the one that faced the music instead of the perpetrators of the crime. Because as far as we're concerned, the law says nobody should spray the naira. But Tompolo was seen dancing on it, jumping on it,
running on it.
And we saw the EFCC chairman said that could be AI generated video. All right.
Remember the president in the 80th birthday of Akani Razak Okoya?
Yes.
Saying anytime he is broke, he goes to Okoya to borrow money.
Okay.
So that statement was reverberated. Immediately, his son committed an offense. I'm sure that people on the social media decided to even remind the EFCC that indeed we want to dare you to go after the son of this man. So they brought back the video. And maybe that actually reminded the EFCC chairman of his encumbrance.
All right, Bello, let's come back home as we wrap up this review. Now,
Principal Akwe from Abattoir told me that her Muslim neighbors in the market in Abattoir fed them for 3 consecutive
days. She called us on the program here and told us.
So this is exactly the type of virtues that I want us to celebrate, because if we don't celebrate it, then we are not encouraging others to do same. So let's celebrate, let's felicitate, let's exhilarate, and Easter is coming. So whom Salah food is given,
Salah Easter rice is expected. All right, that's how we wrap it up on the program. Ugo, fine boy journalist, thank you for the coverage. Timmy, thank you for always being there. And of course, David Friday, thank you for producing us. And to our other listener out there, we continue to hold you in high esteem, because without you, our being here will be irrelevant, insignificant, and inconsequential. My name is Pam Dunquist. Hope to see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.